We are back, and the Cleveland Browns played their first preseason game at Jacksonville. They win the game 24-13, but it's the preseason, so the main result doesn't really matter all that much. What this is mostly about is seeing how some of the young guys play, how the starters knock off some of the ring rust, and there was a lot of rust shown today at the start of the game. But I'm not somebody who starts to freak out over one bad quarter of preseason play like some people do on social media and Twitter and all that. People see one bad quarter and they get all up in arms about how this is going to be a lost season. I'm not worried about it, especially because the quarterback who's going to start the season for the Browns didn't even play today, so we have no idea how he's looked yet. But let's start with some of the concerns that are actually concerning. Is that on the second play of the game, Nick Harris goes down with an apparent knee injury. He is carted off of the field. The more injuries, the worse. Obviously, you never want to have an injury in a preseason game. And after the Jakeem Grant thing, seeing another contributor get carted off of the field on the first, one of the first drives of the game, is not good. It's kind of demoralizing to see. It's kind of like, could we just stop playing? Can we forfeit before anything else happens? And the play after that certainly didn't improve things. Deshaun Watson looked pretty horrible, and when he was throwing the ball on target, Anthony Schwartz couldn't catch it. He dropped a couple of passes, and he needed to just take some extra reps with the machine next time, and hopefully come back in the next game and be a little bit better. Even Dearness Johnson, who I'm really high on and I really like as a running back, he fumbled the ball deep in the Browns' territory, like their own 21. So that was not good. Like the defense, they did good after the turnover, but in the first quarter against Jacksonville starters, they were very bend, don't break, and too much bend for my liking. They technically didn't give up a touchdown in that first quarter, but the drive at the end of the first quarter ended up leading to a touchdown, so it wasn't really. The entire first quarter was pretty ugly to watch. It was pretty bad. But then the second quarter happened. The teams put their backups in, and then things got better. Except for Ben Petrula, he had two really noticeable holding calls on the offensive line, and that was they were both kind of icky. One of them was deep in their own territory, and then the other one took back a John Kelly touchdown, ended up with a field goal. But let's talk about some of the good stuff that happened. The positives. A lot of young guys. You saw that the Browns' depth was much better than the Jaguars' depth throughout the game. Jerome Ford and Martin Emerson looked like they might be special impact players just off the bat. And again, this is why I'm not so deeply concerned about the Kareem Hunt situation, is that we have guys in the wings. Dearness Johnson is there. He didn't look great, but we've seen what he can do. Jerome Ford already looks impressive. Martin Emerson with that incredible pick six at the end of the half. The Browns I think they did a very good job drafting, this year, and we didn't get to see what David Bell could do a whole lot. But if he lives up to expectations, he could be a contributor on the wide receiver as well. The backup quarterbacks looked pretty good. Joshua Dobbs was great in this game. He did very well against the Jaguars backups, which again, why I don't get too freaked out if they played bad, and I don't want to get too hyped up if they played good, because Joshua Dobbs did this against one of the worst teams in the NFL's backups. So Joshua Dobbs did look really good. However, it was against Jacksonville's backups. You have to remember this. And even Josh Rosen did end up looking competent at the quarterback position by the end of the game. He's had a kind of like a rough camp. He's just a training camp arm or whatever, but he has some name recognition because of where he was drafted. But he probably gets cut after camp, especially if Dobbs continues to outperform him like this in this kind of way. Isaac Rochelle and Isaiah Thomas playing at defensive end, they were both noticeable, both in the pass rush and in the run game. I'm pretty sure Isaiah Thomas had 2 sacks in the game. I know they both broke up some runs as well. Perrion Winfrey was noticeable. If Perrion Winfrey can help reinvigorate the interior defensive line, that would be huge for the Cleveland Browns. Cade York, 3 for 3 on extra points, which is huge. I don't want to see the Browns miss an extra point again. It'll probably still happen, but I don't want to see it become like a week-to-week problem where the kickers are missing the extra points. He made his field goal from 31 yards, which is actually, I think it's like 1 yard shorter than the extra points are. So he basically went 4 for 4 on extra points, but one of them counted for 3, which is nice. D'Anthony Bell made a couple of plays. He forced a fumble. Herb Miller had a really nice toe-tapping interception in the end zone when the Jaguars were having a drive and looked to get 3 points out of it. Overall, some of the rookies, they looked really good in the preseason play. They looked prepared and ready to take a spot. The starters, again, they looked a little rusty, a little rough. You don't want to see it, but if you're going to have a bad performance, have it in week 1 of the preseason. Does Deshaun Watson get more playing time in the preseason? I don't know. The NFL hasn't come down with a decision. Peter Harvey hasn't ruled on what Deshaun Watson's new suspension is. Maybe that will play a role, and maybe if Deshaun Watson, gets that suspension for however long it is, and they play Jacoby Brissett more, or maybe they want to get Deshaun Watson as many reps as possible before he serves his suspension, so he ends up playing in every preseason game if possible. The depth played very good, and even in the first quarter when everybody's freaking out about like, oh, the Browns' first team is bad, there were still a lot of people who were not in the game. I have a list here I'm going to read off of. Denzel Ward, Amari Cooper, Anthony Walker, Greg Newsome, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, John Johnson, Joel Bitonio, Jadeveon Clowney, and Myles Garrett. All of them did not play a snap in this game. They didn't play in the first quarter at all. They weren't, that's like half of the starters weren't contributing to this awful performance in the first quarter. So I don't think it's anything to get freaked out over just quite yet. Although again, that Nick Harris injury is worrying. If that ends up being a long-term thing, if JC Treader's on the market, I'd give him a call, see what's going on with JC Treader if Nick Harris is still available. And that's going to be it for now. Again, it's nice to see some of the rookies perform. You don't want to see the kind of performance from guys who you hope to be contributors like Anthony Schwartz. You don't want to see him dropping a bunch of passes. But again, it's the preseason. Jamar Chase had a bad preseason last year, and look where that's gotten him. I mean, he was the best receiver in the NFL last year, rookie of the year easily, at least on the offensive side of the ball anyway. So this isn't a whole lot to panic about, at least in my opinion, quite yet. If this still happens in week 1 of the regular season, then we can start ringing some alarm bells. If you made it this far into the video, thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it and you'd like to see more of it, please feel free to like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the Browns preseason game and their opportunities for young guys moving forward. Did you like how, I loved how Jerome Ford plays. Do you think he moves his way up? Do you think he challenges Ernest Johnson for that third running back spot? I think that might be hard to believe, but when you have 4 good running backs, they're going to compete with each other. And do you think, what else do you think is available for these rookies? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all again for watching the video, and I'll see you at the next one.